Yo, what's going on, guys? If you don't want to drill holes into your home to simply mount a security camera, this is the most effective way that I've found to do so. It's cheap, there's zero damage to your home, and it's secure. So without further ado, let me show you how to build this mount. So this is basically everything that you're going to be needing to make this build happen. So the base of the mount is going to be this flat bar aluminum. You're going to want to look for 1/8 inch thickness. The thickness is fairly important because this is going to be fitting up in the soffit of your house. You want a minimum of 2 inches wide, at least 2 inches wide. You can find these in wider varieties as well, but 2 inches is going to be the minimum. The length doesn't really matter, but we'll get into that in a little bit. You're also going to need a drill, some drill bits, some spray paint to match the color of your soffit, the camera of course, which we're going with the Ring Spotlight Cam Plus, some screws. These are some panhead Phillips screws, number 6, and they're 3/8 inches long. That's what they look like. And then you're also gonna need the actual mount. So this is an Amazon special. I'll leave a link down in the description, but it gives you the most versatility for this type of mount as far as camera positions and such. A saw is an optional thing. Depending on the length of the bar that you need, you may have to cut it. In my case, I'm gonna have to cut it. So I'm gonna be using a chop saw, but a hacksaw will work just as well. That's everything you're gonna need for this build. So now you're gonna want to find wherever you're gonna be placing the camera on your home. So you're gonna wanna measure just tucked into one end of your soffit, just a little bit tucked into the end of your soffit, and that's what you're gonna cut or try to find the length of your aluminum flat bar. This one is 36 inches. I'm not gonna use that full width, but mine spans about a little over 2 feet from end to end of my soffit. And what I'm going for is for my camera to be angled down at my back door. So I'm gonna cut the bar and then we'll go from there. I got my flat bar here marked up. You always wanna measure twice, cut once. I'm gonna purposely leave a little bit more material, what I need exactly. It should still work fine, but I'd rather have too much material than not enough material. So let's go ahead and line this up here with the saw. All right, so I like that right there. Let's make the cut. Got the piece cut out to length. We'll go mock that up and make sure it fits. This is how we're gonna position it. So we want to tuck one end up and into the soffit like that. And then we're gonna have to take this corner, kind of push it like that. There we go, until it gets into place. So this is what we're going for. Fits like a glove. Now that we have the flat bar cut to size and we have confirmed that it fits in the soffit, we're gonna get it painted. So you can scuff the surface if you want. I don't think I did it on the last mount that I made, but I'll just take a little bit of sandpaper, scuff both sides, just so the paint can adhere a little bit better. And then I'm using 2x Ultra Cover Paint Plus Primer. So let's get this prepped and painted. Now that our paint is all dry, you're gonna want to find wherever you're gonna wanna place your mount, depending on where you want it located on your house. You know, you could put it more towards one end or the other, or dead center. For me, I'm gonna put it more dead center. The nice thing, depending on how long your bar is, you can always re-drill holes to mount it somewhere else if it's not exactly correct. I found the center of my bar, made a little mark, and as you can see with this mount, there's just enough room for all 3 holes to have material to bite into. This is completely adjustable, which is nice. Like this swivels, but I'm gonna mark it about right, something like that. I'm gonna mark inside where I'm gonna wanna drill. As you can see, I have my holes marked. That one is a little 2 dots, but it's not gonna be exact. And then I'm gonna use this automatic punch. You don't have to have this, but it's from Harbor Freight, they're cheap. You can just get a standard punch as well, but we just want it so the drill bit doesn't start to wobble on us. We have a good spot to drill. So again, these are the screws that I'm using. You want to find a drill bit that matches the diameter of the screw that you're using. So in my case, I'm going just a little bit smaller. That's what we're going to start with, because you can always drill a bigger hole, but if it's too big, then you're in trouble. So in my case, I'm using a 7/64 bit, and then I think the one that matches most closely is going to be the 1/8, but we're going to start with the smaller one. Alrighty, so now that we have the holes punched, we're going to go ahead and drill them out. Again, we're going to start with the smaller size, so the 7/64 bit, and we're just going to take our drill here and we'll drill out the holes. Bit chucked up in the drill, and this is always the scary part here. Start slow. We're gonna do that 3 times. Boom, first hole drilled, drill out the rest. So now that we got all 3 holes drilled out, we're just gonna line up our mount here. Make sure they line up pretty well. They line up, not absolutely perfect, but should be totally fine. Once we've confirmed that it's all looking pretty good, I'm just gonna use a screwdriver. You can use a drill if you want, but I'm gonna go ahead and start the first screw into the mount. Now these will create their own threads in the aluminum. You gotta put a decent amount of pressure onto the screw, but it'll start going down in there like that. Let me go ahead and screw these other ones down and I will get back with you. Now that we have all 3 screws tightened down in there, you can see on the back end the screws are actually poking out, and we definitely don't want that. That will interfere with the installation in the soffit. It'll also scratch up and tear up your soffit, so we definitely don't want that. We want this to be smooth. So I'll show you how we're going to grind these nubs down. You can do it in a couple different ways. I'm gonna use a bench grinder. I know a lot of people don't have access to these. If you do, great. It'll be the quickest and easiest way to get this accomplished. If not, you can use an angle grinder with a cutoff disc, or use the same hacksaw that you use to cut down the length of your flat bar. That'll work just fine. This is a wood saw, I know. I'm using this in place of a hacksaw. Anytime using your power tools, make sure you got some eye protection, just in case. So now that we got it ground down pretty darn flat to the touch, I'm just gonna go over with a little bit of sandpaper and knock off any sharp edges that may be on here. You can see I have some scratches in the paint. That's totally fine. I can always paint over this, but if I don't want to, it'll be fine. It's gonna be sitting up against the soffit, and it's aluminum, so it's not gonna rust. Depending on what camera you have, again, I'm using the Spotlight Cam Plus by Ring. We need to take out this back plate and replace it with the one that came with this mount in the kit. So we're gonna replace this. All you have to do is take the bottom of your Ring camera off, slide the plate out, and then you'll take the little rubber grommet out of this back plate and place it in this one. Right there. Okay, I'm gonna attach the camera. There's just some threads on the back side. And we'll twist onto those threads. Solid. And then you can adjust it up top here. Kind of find the angle that you like. And then you just tighten that collar down, something like that. Obviously, I'm gonna have to go into the settings and, you know, adjust my parameters on my camera to make sure it's focusing on the area that I want, but here we go. So here's a closer look at it. This is that collar that you tighten down. You can use like a pair of pliers or a wrench or whatever to really get that cinched down on there to make sure it's not going anywhere. And then this collar allows you to rotate it 360 and also handles this little ball head here so you can adjust the angle that you want. This is how the mount turned out. I'm super pleased with it. Turned out great. As you can see, it fits perfect in the soffit there. Doesn't leave huge gaps. Alrighty guys, that's going to be it for this video. All in this mount should cost you around 40 bucks to build, especially if you already have paint and some other basic tools lying around the house. It's a simple but really effective setup and perfect for renters like me or anyone who doesn't want to permanently mount their security camera. I used the Ring Spotlight Cam Plus for this build, but it should work with pretty much any camera that uses the standard 1/4 inch 20 thread mount like the Eufy, Reolink, Argus, the Arlo, and even Wise cameras. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. And take it easy, stay safe, and peace out.